Hi there, I'm Anna Bisak, and I'm here speaking with Eugenie, who's going to tell us a little bit more about her career. So, Eugenie, can I have you start by maybe introducing yourself and telling us what do you do for work?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Doyle, and I am the co-owner of Last Resort Farm, an organic vegetable, berry, and hay farm in Moncton, Vermont, which is Addison County.
That's great. Could you tell us a little bit more about what your job entails?
Sure. Yeah, so my husband and I started this farm about 40 years ago, and we started it as a dairy farm. So we were at first dairy farmers. We had a small herd, about 60 cows, Jerseys. And then the story of my sort of career has been needing to adjust, needing to adapt to circumstances. So after we had done that for about 15 years, we realized we could not make a living at dairy farming at that level. And so we sold our cows and switched to organic vegetables and berries. And both of us also had for a while off-farm jobs. So at this point, and now one of our sons is taking over the operation. We're sort of on a gradual transition, and we work for him. So typical day is that something like to hear? Yeah. So a typical day would be that like today, we had a lot of orders from stores in Burlington, Healthy Living, City Market, both the city markets, various other farm stands order from us. And so we prepared butternut squash, sweet potatoes, ginger, picked strawberries, picked raspberries, washed and packaged salad mix, weighed out and bagged onions, potatoes. And I think that was probably about it for this morning. And then some of our employees delivered those to Burlington. Yeah, so now we're kind of, then my husband and I just finished checking on our bees because tomorrow we're going to be extracting honey. So every day is different, but a lot of the crops that I just mentioned, those are our main crops. And so every day has something to do with getting those things harvested, washed, and off to people so they can eat them.
That's great. Could you talk a little bit about like your educational and career background and how you came into this?
Sure. Yeah, I will. And I can also mention my husband and my sons. All of us, so none of us exactly went to college to study agriculture. I went to college and studied English. My husband went to college and studied anthropology. My son went to college and studied economics. And then all of us at different times, once we found ourselves farming, so we all had different jobs, and then we kind of returned to to our education. And so after meeting my husband and realizing I wanted to be a farmer instead of a teacher, which is at first what I was going to be, I went back to UVM and studied small fruit and vegetable crop course as an adult auditor. And also all of us read constantly. We're always, when we need a new crop, like last year, my son wanted to grow hemp because it's sort of a new cash crop. We thought we could, that might help the bottom line of our farm. I don't know anything really about it, and neither did my husband. My son sort of set out to self-educate on that, talk to other growers. The Vermont growers have a listserv where we communicate with each other. People are always asking questions. Before the pandemic, there were a lot of meetings, and then we would always go to those meetings. But there still are. They're all on Zoom. But we do a lot of self-education. It's
could you tell us what are some of your favorite things about your job?
Let's see, I have many favorite things about it, but one is being outside. So during this pandemic, for example, our business has continued pretty much without a hitch, because the work is outside. We all wear masks when we're in contact with the public and with each other, with our employees. But most of the time we work without a mask in the great outdoors. So that's been great. I love watching things grow, and I'm very interested in certain crops, particularly strawberries. It really intrigues me. Strawberries, garlic, ginger, raspberries. Those are probably my favorite ones. I would say each of us on the farm has different favorite ones, so that we complement each other in that way. But yeah, I like that. I like that we get to be outdoors. We get to produce something that people need. So that's really very satisfying.
That's great. What are some of the things that you find the most challenging about this work?
Yeah, so I would say there are three things. I guess number one, I'd have to say the weather. That's the one we can't control. But it's always an issue. I mean, it's because things are growing outdoors, although we also have 6 hoop houses. So those grow not exactly outdoors. And that's as a result of climate change and the changing weather patterns. So we have these 6 hoop houses where we can control the amount of water, we can control the temperature, because the weather has gotten much more erratic. We have either more water, where we're having floods, or we're having no water. Like this summer, pretty much we had a drought, and we've had to irrigate a lot. Which sounds easy. You turn on a lot of hoses and you move a lot of pipe, but it's also expensive. You have to drill wells. You have to buy all this irrigation pipe, and it's an extra person's job to move that stuff around. So the weather is a challenge. I guess sort of related to that is the economics of farming, of any farming. But in our case, a small family farm in Vermont, the margins are very tight. The price of carrots today is about what it was 20 years ago. So, and other things, prices of a lot of other things have gone up. Price of a bolt for a tractor, the price of baling twine, the price of salaries, price of healthcare. All those things go up, and the price of food has remained pretty flat. So that's a challenge. And then probably the third thing is balancing out help. The family. So there are 3 of us in our family who are involved, primarily my son, but we need to hire other help. There's way too much work. He has expanded the operation quite a bit, and so we do have to hire help, and that is a challenge because there aren't enough local Vermont people growing up interested in farming or thinking they can farm it. So all of you out there, I would encourage you, if you're at all interested, to pursue this. It's actually a lot of fun. The work is a lot of fun, and there's a real need. The farms out here really do need interested, capable, hardworking kids to come on board.
That's great. And kind of leads into my next question. What do you think would make someone a good fit for this kind of work?
Physical fitness, or the desire to get fit. It's a great exercise program. We sometimes call it the last resort fitness club, where you get paid instead of having to pay to go and exercise. So that's one thing. You do get a lot of exercise. I think camaraderie. I think the crew, the field crew. This year we had one 14-year-old boy from CVU who came. We used to have more teenagers I'm not quite sure why that doesn't happen now, but and I think I'll tell you, he was excellent. And the qualities were interest in the crops, curiosity, yeah, desire to work hard, and also kind of friendliness, willingness to be a good team player, because you do have to work with other folks. Yeah, mostly curiosity. I think mostly curiosity and just a desire to learn.
That's great. And then it sounds like there are some opportunities for young people. That was going to be my next question. If a student is interested in this kind of work, what would you recommend that they do now to continue to explore it?
Yeah. There are different ways. Well, I guess to think about the timeline. So right now, this is October, almost October, late September. We're in the harvest season right now. Most farms have their crews pretty much intact. So looking for a weekend or remote learning day on a farm right now would probably not work. But everybody pretty much, and we start to look for next year's crew, not next year, well, next year, but not next summer, but next winter. So January, February, that's the time to maybe look around to the farms in your area, because you don't want to spend all your time convincing your parents to drive you or trying to borrow a vehicle to get there. If you can find a farm within biking distance, that's great, or somewhere, somewhere close to you that maybe you've been on the bus looking at that farm and thinking, that might be interesting. Oh, they have goats. Wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, that's what wouldn't be our farm, but or I've always wanted to work with horses. Maybe I'll go check out with them what they do. Or, I love strawberries. I think I'll look for a strawberry farm. So, think about what you like, what's available in your area, and then give them a call in January or February and ask if they're hiring.
That's great. And then what kind of education or training do you think would benefit a student down the road if this is a career path that they want to go into?
Yeah. There are programs depending on, where you are, which county you're in. There are the tech centers all have some programs. Now, some of them have dairy programs, some of them have mechanics, some of them have greenhouse, nursery operations. Any of those would be excellent training. But they're not necessary. If what you want to do, if you're not sure what you want to do, probably taking the career path of going to college, I think, is an excellent education for a farmer, because you learn how to learn. So at this point, at the high school level, really getting the skills, reading, math. You cannot do farming without those things. You could try, but you would not be successful. You have to be able to change with the changing conditions of farming. And every year things do change, like the weather. And the only way to keep up with that is to constantly be reading, constantly be talking to other farmers, and the University Extension Service, which educates farmers. And if you can't do your math, you're going to find people taking advantage of you. You won't know if you're losing money or not. So basic math, anything related to if your school offers some accounting or business classes, those are all really good too. But hey, I was an English major. I mean, things that, or artists. One of our best employees was a boy in our neighborhood who really, really loved art. That was what he studied in high school. It's what he studied in college. And he now has his own farm. He always worked on farms, After he finished college, he focused more on that and taught himself so much.
Hmm.
And he now has his own place. So it's really the desire.
Mhm.
But no, I think getting it is the most work experience you can is
Mhm.
a really good training.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Anything else you would want to share with students?
I guess the only other thing I'd like to say is that we are kind of in an unusual country
Mhm.
in that the United States depends very heavily on for farm work on workers who are not Americans,
Mhm.
and that I I think that that puts our country in a kind of a funny position that we have
Mhm.
people who are, I mean, we have some that work on our farm and they're wonderful,
Mhm.
but I've always sort of wondered how come we can't, as a country, do the farm work ourselves? I think that it's really important, even if you're just going to grow a garden of your own and be able to feed yourself and your family. It's really, really important to learn how to grow food. It's kind of the sort of the basic skill, like
Mhm.
learning to drive or learning to, I don't know, fix your light bulb when it breaks
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
something.
Mhm.
It's pretty basic. So I think anything that, even if it's not going to be a long-term career,
Mhm.
some work in agriculture, I think you'd really enjoy, and it would be very important.